Hey Honkai fans, DJ here. So with the release of the 1.2 patch came new relic sets, and in this video I'll be doing a deep dive on the new planar set, Broken Keel, farmable in the simulated universe World 7. Let's see what it does. Two-piece effect. Increases the wearer's effect res by 10%. When the wearer's effect res is at 30% or higher, all allies' crit damage increases by 10%. Now on first impression, 10% crit damage seems great. Definitely much better than the 8% attack you get from Fleet of the Ageless. But how useful is effect res? Well, let's actually go take a look. Effect res is basically a stat that both your characters and enemies can use to decrease the probability of getting a status effect, such as freeze, imprisonment, bleed, shock, burn, etc. Imagine effect hit rate, but now you're on the receiving end. That's effect resist. To better understand how the stat works, let's go through a hypothetical example using the official formula for it. Let's ignore debuff resist for simplicity here. Now assume the enemy has a 100% base chance to land a freeze with 30% effect hit rate, and you had 25% effect resist. In this scenario, 1.3 times 0.75 multiplied by 100% gets you 97.5%. Meaning that the enemy still has a 97.5% chance to freeze, meaning that your 25% effect res only managed to reduce the freeze rate by 2.5%. Now assume that you had 50% effect res. In this second scenario, the enemy only has a 65% chance to freeze. So you managed to reduce the freeze chance by 35% with this additional 25% effect res. So what can we learn from this? Effect res needs to be stacked. Higher the better for it to prove useful. In this example, having 25% or less effect res is essentially the same as having 0, which means you are missing out on other useful substats such as speed, HP, defense, and attack as opportunity costs. This means that the characters that should build effect res and this planar set should be the ones who are able to stack quite a lot of it, amplifying its effective use. Now with that in mind, let's go through all the characters that will benefit from this set. Alrighty, starting with Destruction, Hunt, and Erudition. All of these characters are DPS characters or damage dealing characters, so they definitely wouldn't be building this set. They'd be way better off farming a different set, such as Inert Salcedo or Space Sealing Station, or the new World 7 Rutiland Arena as well. Moving on to Harmony. These are your support units, and before I did the deep dive, I would have recommended to build Broken Keel on all of these units if possible, but when I looked into the effect res situation, I realized that Bronya is probably the only viable character that I think should build this set. Here's the reasoning. Like I mentioned before, with the fact that effect res is essentially non-existent unless you can stack a lot of it, the fact that Asta, Tingyun, and Yukong, if they were to build this set, they would need to stack a whole lot of effect resist in their substats, meaning that they're actually going to give up a lot of speed, a lot of health, a lot of defense, and everybody knows the main problem of Memory of Chaos is survival, and especially units such as Tingyun, which typically get close to one shot in the Memory of Chaos. Having that HP or defensive stats helps a lot more than being frozen for a turn or two. She simply can't survive if she's going full squishy mode. Now, Bronya is a very interesting character, and the reason I bring up her being viable with Broken Keel is because she has something unique that the other Harmony units don't, and that is her ability to cleanse with her skill. This is quite vital because if Bronya herself gets frozen, then she cannot use her skill, and if another character on your team is debuffed or frozen, then you cannot actually cleanse it. However, with Bronya, if you have very high effect resist and you resist the freeze, and someone else on your team, say your damage dealer, gets frozen, you can actually cleanse it with her E. So I think this makes Bronya stand out from the rest of the units. Additionally, everybody knows Bronya's ultimate gives crit damage to your whole team. So it also benefits just a little bit, letting her ultimate give a bit more damage to the rest of your team. One other thing to note is Bronya has 10% effect resist from her traces. So if you level up her traces, you can get 10% flat effect resist from those. And with the set giving 10% as well, you would only need 10% effect res to actually hit that threshold. And it gives you quite a comfortable room to stack some effect res on your substats and actually go up to 40 to 50%, in which she can take use of it fully efficiently. I would recommend farming this for Bronya. I think this is her best in slot planner set for now. Moving on to Nihility. For the same reasons as I mentioned earlier for Asta and Tinyun and Yukong, I believe the same goes for Nihility class, which are debuffers. They're often way too squishy and they don't come with built-in effect res. So it's very hard to make use of this stat, and they would be better off going with other sets such as the Pan-Galactic set for effect hit rate and attack, or Sprightly Wonkwak, or Fleet of the Ageless for extra survivability and still providing a team-wide boost. I think what really gets interesting is looking at the preservation units. So preservation units, we have Fire MC, March 7th, and Japard. I'm going to group March 7th and Japard together because they're essentially pretty much a very similar unit that does the same things. So on March 7th and Japard, they both typically build speed boots, effect hit rate chest, and energy recharge rope. So they need to have a bit more bulk and defense percent stats on the other relic pieces. And the Belobog 2-piece set will give both of these characters 30% defense, since they will easily reach the 50% effect hit rate requirement from building the effect hit rate chest piece. So I believe both March and Japard should stick with building the 2-piece Belobog, as 30% defense can easily provide both them and the entire team a lot more utility than 10% crit damage. Now, Fire MC is a very interesting character and frankly quite a bit awkward. You don't really want to go the 2-piece Belobog because you can only benefit from the first 15% defense. Reason being, you don't build effect hit rate on the Fire main character, so that second part of the relic is kind of wasted. And 15% defense for the Fire main character equates to very little in terms of actually providing shields to each character on your team. So typically, the best support build has been Fleet of the Ageless for Fire MC, which is mainly just to give 8% attack to the rest of your allies. Now I would say I do believe Broken Keel would be an upgrade to Fleet of the Ageless, but since the Fire MC doesn't have any inherent effect res traces, I think it would actually be quite difficult to hit 30% just from substats. So all in all, I think Fleet is just fine on Fire main character, but if you do happen to have some gear with effect res substats, and you can hit 30% or higher because of it, then I would recommend using Broken Keel on Fire MC. But I definitely would not go out of my way to farm this set for him or her. Finally, we have Abundance. Broken Keel is 100% the best in slot for all three of these characters. Healers are the most important characters in this game to avoid getting crowd controlled, as you will need them to cleanse or heal your team to survive. If they get frozen or imprisoned for a few turns, I can pretty much guarantee that your run is pretty much screwed and your team will most likely be dead. They also all usually come with traces that can give you flat effect resist, making it significantly easier not only to reach 30% for the set bonus, but to stack it up to 40, 50% or even higher to significantly reduce your chances of getting CC. So once again, I would build this set on Natasha, Bailu, and Locha. I believe this planner set is designed for the healers in this game, and these three are most definitely capable of making full use of the set and providing a very strong crit damage buff to the team. In conclusion, to summarize, Broken Keel isn't really an OP set or a generic one to farm on everyone, but it is definitely strong on a few characters. Farm this on your Abundance characters and Bronya if you have her, and maybe consider Fire MC if your relics have some effect res here and there. All in all, the rest of the characters have much better options in my opinion. If you found this video helpful, please give a like and subscribe. I'm just an upcoming small channel and it would really help me a lot and I would really appreciate it. Well, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.